Welcome, I'm going to be discussing the Outlander graphic novel, The Exile. Enter the world of Outlander as you've never seen it before. This was a fascinating read because it really put Claire in a different light for me. On the show, the actress looks almost identical to my mother, so visually I kind of log her as a close relative, basically. And so that translated into me reading the books. When I'm going through the Outlander books, I see the show. And then we got Claire in this. It is not influenced by the Starz show. This is a lot closer, I think, to what Diana envisioned just straight in her own head and onto paper. I'm not going to try and pronounce the illustrator's name because I'm sure I'll do it wrong, but he's brilliant and I'll put his name in the show notes. The way he drew Claire is gorgeous. Not just because a lot of this is from Jamie's perspective, I finally really see what Jamie is attracted to in Claire. This version has clouds of billowy curled hair, and she's much curvier than the show, which makes her feel approachable and real, a lot more of a normal figure. I love the actress, but she is so thin. Like, she looks like a model. This Claire, I started seriously crushing on by halfway through. On the show, that would not have even crossed my mind. I'm not a Targaryen. In addition, we got some really fascinating character insights. Even Galus, I wasn't expecting that. Her main plan was to get rid of Colum and make Dougal chief, because then she could make him do whatever she wanted. Jamie coming along again was putting a little bit of a wrench in her plans. Also, it shows that Colum, when he had Galus arrested, was totally right. That was what she was planning. But as a result, she doesn't trust Claire. Apparently, she realized that Claire was from a different time period fairly early on, and pretty much thinks that maybe she's there to change things for the other side. But Galus is very suspicious, sends the other time traveler off to keep an eye on Claire, confirm that she's indeed from another time. This really tracks with what I've been reading in the books as well, because when asked if she knew any other time travelers, rather than replying, "Well, yes, you, Claire," Galus went, "A few." This is one of them that we haven't seen on the show. And then we watch as Gelly slowly figures out that Claire's not actually undermining her. In fact, she seems a little bit lost, doesn't have any interest in politics. Remember when Claire gets really drunk before the wedding and kind of passes out? The other time traveler breaks in and he starts shaking her and shouting, "Who's the president of the United States?" And she's just, Roosevelt. So the other time traveler's like, "Ugh, fine." He just leaves. And then it gets crazy because Myrta shows up. And the thing about Myrta in this version is he knows more than what he lets on in the show. He saw a little bit of her coming through the stones, and he is convinced that she's one of the good folk. And to protect Jamie, he's like, I don't want him marrying someone from, another realm. So again, poor Claire, while she's passed out, all this stuff happens, right? That was the funny part, is finding out all these little gaps that because of the books are from Claire's perspective, we don't know. So Myrta shows up and he's like, I can't allow Jamie to be taken in by one of the good folk like this. So he has his dirk out and he's ready to do it. She is an old one. I ken that much for sure. I can't do it, lad. I wanted your mother once, and I remember what it is to want a woman more than life. Myrta. So he leaves. Meanwhile, Galus is up to her usual machinations, and so she's like, all right, we gotta take Jamie out. I haven't decided about Claire yet, but we need to eliminate Jamie from contention. In case you haven't read the graphic novel, I won't give you any more particulars about the plot, but it gets very exciting. Even if you know the show and you know the books, at least the ones I've read so far, there's some new stuff in here. I especially liked all the Myrta sections from his point of view. It also explains why much later on when they decide to tell him, he's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. He's assumed that she has magic this whole time. The art style here is very flowing and graceful, absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, it's also not safe for work. I accidentally opened a few pages of fully naked Jamie and was like, okay, we're gonna read this in the quiet of our own room where no one else is around. Otherwise, things are going to get really awkward. At first, I was worried this would just be another let's make money off Outlander situation. But no, it fills in some really fascinating details in the story. And I loved getting to see the characters a little bit closer to Diana's vision. So I highly recommend it, and definitely read the background stuff where they go behind the scenes. There's a sweet story about how excited she was about being able to write this, because apparently the author's a huge fan of graphic novels. She does mention what's on these pages is not literally what's in her head. It is the work of a collaboration, but still, I thought it was fascinating to see. To close, I'm going to leave you with a quote from how she described Claire to the illustrator. Should look intelligent and competent, major league sense of humor, but not willing to be messed with. That is definitely Claire. And for those of you who watched my Brian's Comics video, that's where I bought this. Unfortunately, it is now closed as of when I'm filming. But I do a little tour of it there. And he signed this book for me because I knew I'd be keeping this. It's a really good graphic novel. It's going to stay on my bookshelf for years to come. Even if you're not a huge fan of Outlander and just enjoy graphic novels, I think it's still worth getting.